Hey everyone, today it's Q&A number... Shalom everybody, welcome to Beit Tefillah and Q&A number 16. If you're new to this channel, this is where I take a lot of questions and comments that I've received via email, maybe Facebook PMs, YouTube comments, or maybe different things that I've replied to on social media, and I put them here into these Q&A videos. If you have a question, feel free to post it in the comment section below, or you can also email me, and you can find my email address in the end credits to all these videos. This is also my last video of the year, and wow, what a year 2020 has been, right? Just crazy. But I always like to end the year with one of these Q&A videos, and I always do something a little special or a little different for the end credits. So make sure you watch them when this video is finished, okay? Anyway, let's get on with it and hit the first question. Do I need to be reading Torah portions, and what is the Haftorah? Okay, there's no commandment to read Torah portions every week. However, it is a great way to familiarize yourself with the Torah. My family and I did 3 complete yearly cycles of the Torah portion when we first got on this walk, and wow, it surely helped to build our foundation in it. It really, it's important. It's a tradition, but it's really a great tradition because it really makes you read and digest and process the Torah, and if you do it every year and keep up with it, you're going to learn it pretty quick. The Haftorah isn't exactly Haftorah, it's actually Haftarah, which means to conclude or concluding readings, and is simply other readings from the prophets in the Tanakh that may or may not be based on that particular weekly Torah portion that you might be reading. Okay, it's a tradition as well. It's not a commandment either, just as weekly Torah portions. But it will get you to read and examine things in the prophets that you may not have noticed or may not have otherwise read if you weren't doing the Torah portions in the Haftarah. Okay, so it's a great idea, but not a commandment. Okay, next question. Is honey acceptable and considered clean for us to eat? I get this question once in a while. It's a good question. To start, let's take note of all the things in the following verse considered goodness that Elohim listed. In Deuteronomy 8, verse 8, a land of wheat and barley, of vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey. The word honey comes from the Hebrew dabash, which means honey or honeycomb. Now, obviously, we don't eat bees or their larvae because that would be unclean, but we eat their honey, which comes from the nectar of plants. So yes, honey is clean and is just fine for us to eat. All right, the next question is regarding my last Q&A video, Q&A number 15. Of the 613 mitzvot, I've never seen anything about fornication. Well, for starters, there's nowhere near 613 mitzvot, and why I did this video entitled, Are There Really 613 Laws in the Torah? I will link that video below in the description for anyone who hasn't seen that yet, because that's really good for people that are intimidated by so-called 613 laws in Torah. There's nowhere near that many. So watch that video if you haven't seen it yet. King James Bible translated the English word fornication from a couple different Hebrew words 4 times in the Tanakh. 3 of those times it comes from the Hebrew zanah, and the other time it comes from the Hebrew taznuth. Both of these words are defined as adultery, idolatry, harlotry, and fornication. Those 4 examples deal primarily with idolatry. And dictionaries of today define the English word fornicate as 2 people not married to each other having sexual intercourse. So if you're looking for some examples of that, or some commands about it, there's a few examples that we can read just from one passage in Torah, from Deuteronomy chapter 22, verses 22 to 29. When a man is found lying with a woman married to a husband, then both of them shall die, both the man that lay with the woman and the woman. Thus you shall purge the evil from yisra'el. When a girl who is a maiden is engaged to a husband, and a man finds her in the city and lies with her, then you shall bring them both out to the gate of the city, and shall stone them to death with stones. The girl because she did not cry out in the city, and the man because he has humbled his neighbor's wife. Thus you shall purge the evil from your midst. But if a man finds the girl who is engaged in the field, and the man takes hold of her and lies with her, then only the man who lays with her shall die. But you shall do no matter to the girl. And here's why. The girl has no sin worthy of death, for the matter is like a man who rises against his neighbor and murders him, a being, for he found her in the field, and she cried out, the engaged girl, but without anyone to save her. So she cried out for help. This is pretty much talking about rape. Okay? He raped her. He needs to be killed, but not her. She was the victim. When a man finds a girl who is a maiden who is not engaged, and he seizes her and lies with her, and they are found out, then the man who lay with her shall give to the girl's father 50 pieces of silver, and she is to be his wife, because he has humbled her. He's not allowed to put her away all his days. So notice that a man takes a woman and lies with her. He just doesn't, pay her old man off with 50 pieces of silver. He has to take this woman and marry her, and she is to be his wife all of his days. So those are just a few definitions of the English word fornicate in Torah. There's more examples than that, but I hope that answered your question on that topic. Okay, next question. I have seen so much animal cruelty in the dairy industry, the meat industry, and beauty industry, which made me choose to not be part of it. I use vegan products from toothpaste to almond milk instead. I still eat chicken, eggs, and meat, but feel really bad after I've eaten it. My question is, we are allowed to eat certain meats according to Leviticus. How do we do it and not be part of animal cruelty, but still be in Torah? Well, this can be a tough thing for people that buy meat from the store and are unaware how these animals were raised or even killed. Because most people who work in the store, they don't know, and they may not be told, you may not be able to find out. We buy our meat from a local place where the cattle freely roam and graze on open pasture. They're grass-fed, they're treated well, and they're killed humanely. And we buy our eggs from people that let their chickens free range, and you can sure tell the difference when you crack these eggs open and you see the dark orange yolks versus the pale yellow ones that you get from the store. There's a big difference. You can tell they're much healthier. For the vast majority of the people who buy meat and eggs, they would never know, and if asked, they might be lied to. As an electrician years ago, I did work in veal barns, cattle ranches, and egg production farms, and I saw a lot of animal cruelty. So I know it happens. I know it's out there. And that's why it's very important to us as well to know where our food is coming from. And not just animals, vegetables as well. We don't know what they're spraying on some of these vegetables, and we don't want to put that into our bodies. So to answer your question, if you buy your meat from a big chain grocery store, you're not going to have any idea how these animals were raised or how they were killed. My suggestion to you would be to find a local butcher that can answer those questions or put you in touch with another butcher who may know a little bit more. That's how we found out. Okay, we actually found out when we got a hold of our local butcher that the people raising the cattle that we eat live 3 miles away, and we can drive over there and see them grazing on these big wide open pastures and being treated very well. Okay, so that's a good question, and it's very important to find that out. Okay, next question. Someone sent me Psalms chapter 2 saying this is about the Messiah from the New Testament. Who should I say that this is about? Well, there's really 2 parts from the 2nd chapter of Psalms that are misunderstood by Messianics, so I'm going to cover just those 2 parts in this video today. Let's go ahead and hit the first one in Psalms chapter 2, verses 2 to 3. The sovereigns of the earth take their stand, and the rulers take counsel together against Jehovah and against his anointed, and say, let us tear apart their bonds and throw away their ropes from us. Now the anointed there is referring to yisra'el, or Elohim's people. Notice in verse 3 it talks about their bonds and their ropes, plural. So the Messianics who think that this has to do with Elohim and their Messiah, it's talking about their bonds and ropes. So do they think that Elohim was also bound up with ropes and had bonds on? See what I mean? The King James and a lot of other Bibles translates Mashiach or anointed into Messiah, and that's incorrect. It's incorrect to take the modern definition of Messiah and slap it on Mashiach or anointed, because that's not accurate. Because something anointed doesn't always have to be a person. There were things that were anointed for the tabernacle or the temple, right? King Saul and King David were both anointed, or Mashiach, and so was King Cyrus, who didn't even know Elohim. He was set apart for a purpose to Elohim. Anointed, okay, Mashiach. There's a few times that Elohim's people are referred to as anointed, and this is one of those times. So the anointed of Elohim in that passage is referring to Elohim's people, not a New Testament Messiah. And the second misunderstood part of that is from Psalms 2:12, kiss the Son lest he be angry and you perish from the way. I just covered this verse in a recent video, but for those who may have missed that one, I will just mention it here briefly. First of all, the word that was translated into kiss comes from the Hebrew word nashak, which more accurately means to arm yourself. And the word bar, which was translated into son, was given the Aramaic translation for the word bar. But all the Psalms were written in Hebrew, not Aramaic. Bar doesn't mean son in Hebrew. Bar means purity. Okay, so Psalm 2:12 should read, "Arm yourself with purity, lest he, or Elohim, be angry, and you perish from the way." So we can see that Psalms chapter 2 has nothing to do with the New Testament Messiah, just like the rest of Tanakh. And that's all I have for this Q&A and 2020. So thanks for watching as always. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do so and give the video a thumbs up. We'd sure appreciate it. Thanks for all the emails, comments, and questions, everyone. Please keep them coming. And here's to a much better 2021. It's got to be better than 2020. I hope so. So a shout out and a shalom to all my brothers and sisters who are yisra'el and are scattered worldwide in the dispersion. Everybody be blessed and have a wonderful day.